Welcome back to the Chad Hasty Show, News Talk, 95.1 FM and 790 AM KFYO, broadcasting from the Culligan Water Studios. Better water, pure and simple. Every Friday during high school football season, we visit with Stephen Orr of the West Texas Friday Night Scoreboard Show and get a preview of some big games that are coming up on Friday night and some games that maybe have already happened, including one that happened last night. Hey, Stephen.
Chad, good morning. How are you?
Doing great. How are you doing?
Well, I'm all right if I remember to push the button.
That's sometimes, that's an important button to push.
It is.
Yeah.
You'd think by Friday I'd have it down. I mean, I've been doing it all week.
Let's see. I guess we started it off last night, Estacado, with a big win over Shallowater.
Yeah, and, you got to go back to last week. Estacado hung 84 on San Angelo Lakeview last week in a shutout. 84-0 they win, and they continue to roll last night. That, I thought that was going to be a really good measuring stick. Shallowater had a big win over Lubbock the week before, but last night, Estacado, I think, really showed just exactly how good that football team is, winning 42-20 in a ball game that I thought would be closer than that. And Estacado, after losing their first game of the season, man, they have put it together, and they seem to be really focused and really playing a lot of good football. And Shallowater's a good football team too. Yeah,
well, it's impressive for sure for Estacado, and they're pretty happy over there.
Well, and they should be because they're playing well on defense. They're really being efficient on offense, and I think they're setting up well for a really good district run. We called this week. This is week 6. We're halfway through the season after tonight, but it's dead week because the majority of the teams in West Texas this is their open date. So where we normally do just right at 200 football games, tonight we'll have just about 100.
It's an easy night for you.
It is, but one of the things that we do in between, and I like this week because we have a lot of our affiliate partners that will come in, and we get a preview. They'll do a short preview of the district races and how those are going to set up and what it looks like at this point as we get ready to kick off. So it's a little bit different show, but it's a lot of fun. It's still pretty fast-paced, and we still have quite a bit to do.
Very cool. Well, what are some of the games tonight?
Well, tonight you've got Friendship hosting the Midland Bulldogs. This is district action, second game of district play for both of these teams. They're both 0-5 on the year, still looking for that first win and looking for their first district win, and really a crucial game for both of these teams if they want to have any hopes of being in that district. I think you've got to start tonight to build that if you want to be in the playoff hunt in any way, form, or fashion. I think Friendship has a good chance here as Midland's really struggling on offense. So, there's a lot of motivation here, and I think Friendship can come out on top. We'll just have to wait and see on that one. But then you drop down probably one of the best games that on my board tonight is there at Lowry Field as you have the Lubbock Coronado Mustangs hosting the Andrews Mustangs. Coronado's undefeated on the year so far, and they're coming off their bye week. Andrews is 4-1 on the year, and I tell you what, this is going to be a really interesting game. Andrews has only failed to score 40 points in one game, and that was in a loss to Monahans week before last, where they only scored 37. So far this year, Andrews has had 75, 59, 47, 37, and 55.
Wow.
Jace Cassie, their quarterback, has already thrown for 1,400 yards and 17 touchdowns on the year. So how is Coronado's defenses, especially the secondary, how are they going to hold up against the Andrews team that really can't? They're averaging like 250 some odd yards passing per game, then they'll add about 150 yards on the ground to that. So if you look at their averages, they're up there around 400 to 500 yards a game. They're really moving the ball. Coronado started off the season, they were really efficient on offense. The last couple of games, they've gotten it done, but they've gotten off to a slower start. They'll get to clicking, but it takes them a quarter and a half. And Andrews is a team that could build up a lead where you don't have that kind of time to find your rhythm. So, but also Coronado's played very well on defense, and they're undefeated. So that's going to be a really good ball game there, and a good way to kind of measure where you are going into district play. The Plainsmen of Monterey travel down to Stephenville to take on the Yellow Jackets. Monterey coming off their bye week. They've had time to heal. They've had 2 weeks to prepare for Stephenville. Stephenville coming off a tough loss to Graham, who's undefeated. And so that was Stephenville's coming off a really tough game. They came out on the wrong side of a really tough game. And how have they rebounded from that? Could have a lot to do. I think Stephenville probably has the advantage in this game. Monterey sitting at 1-3 on the year. But, again, if their head's not right, if they haven't quite gotten over the hangover from last week's game, could be an opportunity there. And who knows, Monterey, having had some time to plan, having had time to get well, and kind of maybe reset the clock a little bit, they could have a chance there in that ball game. So the next game we need to look at is Levelland Lobos traveling up to take on the Bushland Falcons up by Amarillo. Levelland's 3-2 on the year. Bushland's 3-2, coming off a win last week. And that should be a pretty good ball game. Levelland is going to have to play good defense because Bushland can move the ball well. They scored 56 points last week in a ball game. And so that should be a pretty good ball game. But the Lobos definitely going to have to play solid on defense, and they're going to have to get rolling on offense early. The Idalou Wildcats, 1-4 on the year, travel down to take on Denver City. Denver City's at 4-1 on the year. Idalou was sub 500 last year when they went to Denver City, and they pulled the upset. So I don't know. Idalou's they've had a hard time getting in sync this year, and the game against Littlefield last week, I think, kind of showed that maybe they're down just a little bit, but a ball game there that they need to win as they prepare to go into the district race. Brownfield travels all the way down to Kermit. Brownfield's 1-4, Kermit 3-2 on the year, but Brownfield probably is going to be one of the tougher teams that Kermit's faced so far, so that could be a good ball game as well. Then you've got Lamesa hosting number 10 Sweetwater. Sweetwater picked up right where they left off last year after that state champion finalist run, and they're playing really good ball, and I think the Golden Tours are going to have their hands full. Speaking of having their hands full, the Lubbock Roosevelt Eagles travel to Abernathy to take on the number 7 in the state Antelopes, and Roosevelt has not been able to put points on the board at all. They lost to Floydada last week 51-6, and I think they're going to have another long night tonight.
Yeah, that might be an issue tonight.
I tell you what, that district that Abernathy's in, that District 2 of 2A Division 1, as we sit here with the rest of the teams in the bye week in that district, you've got Abernathy that's undefeated, and I suspect will be at the end of the night. Hell Center sitting at 5-0, Sundown sitting at 5-0, New Deal sitting at 5-0, and Olton, I think, is at 3-2 right now. So that district is setting up to be a really tough battle, and I think Abernathy probably sets the tone with their last district non-district game tonight. The Post Antelopes host Farwell. Post is at 4-1 on the year. Farwell, the Steers, are 2-2. And then you've got Spring Lake Earth traveling down to Roby. Spring Lake Earth 1-3 on the year. Roby is 4-0 on the year, and that may be a long bus ride home for the Wolverines as Roby's playing some really good football. And then finally, a couple of the private schools there. Lubbock Christian in district action taking on Fort Worth Calvary. Lubbock Christian won their first district game last week. They're 4-1 on the year. Fort Worth Calvary's 5-0. Lubbock Trinity started off the year 3-0. They lost their district game last week, and they take on Willow Park Aledo Trinity, who's undefeated on the year and 1-0 in district play. So those two teams trying to keep climbing the ladder. Trinity trying to get their first win in district. So that's pretty much what we've got. And there's quite a few six-man games going on. If you haven't, all the six-man teams, since those districts are made up of four teams per district, we won't be in district play for them for another couple of weeks. Everybody else, with the exception of a couple of the 4A districts where they have fewer teams, will be in district action next week.
What's the marquee game tonight that people need to go out and see?
Andrews Coronado.
Yeah.
Hands down. I mean, I've had fewer to choose from tonight, but they're going to have 300 games on the board. I think that's going to be a really, really good football game.
Well, and it's also Coronado's homecoming, so that should be fun.
Well, I thought homecoming was supposed to be the guaranteed win. I guess we could ask LSU about that, though.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? Hopefully the Kansas Jayhawks too this weekend.
Well,
it's their homecoming, so Tech's going to ruin that party, I think.
You would think so.
You would hope so.
You would hope so, because Tech, in my opinion, Tech's playing some really good football right now.
They are.
Even in the loss last week, I mean, you had some things that were, you felt like that game is one you should have won.
Yeah.
But I think Tech has turned the corner maybe a little bit, and they're playing a lot better football, and they need to go up to Kansas and just come home with that 21-28 point win and call it good.
Yeah, I agree. Stephen Orr, West Texas Friday Night Scoreboard Show. You can hear the West Texas Friday Night Scoreboard Show here on KFYO from about 10:15 to midnight tonight. They're going to have a good time. They always have a good time every Friday night. Stephen, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Chad, as always, thank you. Have a good week.
You too. That's Stephen Orr, West Texas Friday Night Scoreboard Show.